James Gunn's new Superman reboot faces legal hurdles as Superman co-creator's estate files lawsuit threatening its release in multiple countries. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. Just as Warner Bros. Discovery was preparing to relaunch the DC Universe with its shiny new Superman reboot, a legal headache came flying in. Mark Perry, nephew of Superman co-creator Joseph Shuster, filed a lawsuit alleging that Warner Bros. No longer has the international rights to the character in several key markets, including the UK, Canada, Ireland, and Australia. The DCU has been a roller coaster at best, with confusing plots and multiple flopped films. Now that it's finally been put to rest, James Gunn is stepping in to clean up the mess and start fresh. And his first big move is a brand new Superman movie meant to kick off a whole new DC universe. But just as things seem to be getting on track, here comes the drama. The estate of Joseph Shuster, one of the original creators of Superman, has filed a lawsuit that could block the movie's release in several countries. So instead of taking off smoothly, Superman is already dealing with real-life villains. Here's what's going on. Instead, Warner Bros. Allegedly continued producing and profiting from Superman-related films, such as Zack Snyder's Justice League and Shazam, without authorization or compensation. Perry's lawsuit went a step further by seeking to block the upcoming Superman film, directed by James Gunn, from being released in several countries. He also requested a preliminary injunction that would have stalled the movie's debut abroad unless the rights dispute was resolved first. Considering the film is intended as the first major chapter in a revitalized DC cinematic universe, the timing couldn't be worse for Warner Bros. As per The Hollywood Reporter, the dispute centers on foreign copyright laws that, unlike U.S. law, sometimes allow an estate to reclaim rights years after a creator's death. Since Shuster died in 1992, Perry argues that the rights to Superman should have reverted to the family in 2017. The judge also rejected Perry's request to block the release of the new Superman movie in those countries. That means Warner Bros. Can keep the movie's global launch on track for its July 11th release, at least for now. The studio then responded promptly, reiterating that DC has legally controlled Superman's rights since 1938, when Shuster and his co-creator Jerry Siegel sold the character for $130. Warner Bros. Scored a win on April 25 when a U.S. judge dismissed the lawsuit filed by Mark Perry. The judge ruled that U.S. courts don't have the power to decide on copyright laws from other countries like the UK, Canada, Australia, and Ireland. Despite all the legal back and forth, Warner Bros. Is charging full steam ahead with its DC Universe reboot. Directed by James Gunn, the new Superman stars David Corenswet in the title role, Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane, and Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor. Fans are hoping this dispute to be over soon, so that they can finally enjoy a DC movie. But Perry isn't backing down. The day after the federal case was dismissed, he refiled the lawsuit in New York State Court, hoping for a fresh start. A hearing is set for June 4th, as per Puck News via X.com, only weeks before the new Superman is set to hit theaters, so the drama isn't going anywhere soon. James Gunn confirms Superman will release in the USA and China on July 11, 2025, with a new teaser poster for Chinese fans. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. Before the DC Universe was rebooted under the leadership of James Gunn, Zack Snyder had big and ambitious plans for his version of the DC Extended Universe. He was all set to expand the Justice League saga, and interestingly, one of those ideas also included adapting the Flashpoint storyline. Zack Snyder may not be at the helm of the DC Extended Universe, but his impact and popularity are still at an all-time high. The iconic filmmaker is known for his bold storytelling and stunning direction, and he has movies such as Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and his version of Justice League under his belt. But after James Gunn and Peter Safran took over, his vision was cut short, but left plenty of what-ifs. One of which involved Flashpoint Batman. Now, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who was set to take on the role, has revealed a major behind-the-scenes detail. In this version, Bruce Wayne dies, and his father, Thomas Wayne, becomes a much darker and more violent Batman. Moreover, actor Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who briefly appeared as Thomas Wayne in Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, recently confirmed that he was almost returned to play Flashpoint. In an interview via Den of Geek, he shared that the legendary filmmaker had plans to do more movies. It's a famous comic book arc in which the Flash changes the past and creates a major alternate universe with major changes, including a different version of Batman. He continued. But it was the first time that Lauren and I met. I remember meeting her for the first time, and she had just started The Walking Dead, and I was a huge fan. The idea was, truthfully, that Zack was going to do more movies, and that I think that there was a time when Flashpoint Batman would have seen these two characters in a much bigger role. We never got a chance to do that, unfortunately. Before they became famous for their roles as Negan and Maggie in The Walking Dead, Dead City, Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Lauren Cohan had a brief but iconic appearance in the DCU. That's right, both the actors played the role of Thomas and Martha Wayne in Zack Snyder's Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. Not only this, but he also detailed that both he and his Walking Dead co-star Lauren Cohan, aka Martha Wayne, were originally cast with a long-term idea in mind. Unfortunately, Snyder's exit from the DCU meant those plans never happened. While 2023's The Flash included elements of the Flashpoint storyline and brought back Michael Keaton's Batman, Morgan's version of the character never made it to the screen. Fans of Snyder's vision still wonder what his version of Flashpoint could have looked like, with Jeffrey Dean Morgan suiting up as a more brutal, alternate Batman in a darker DC timeline. Also, he bombarded Cohan with questions because she had just started The Walking Dead, and he was already a fan. He added, "Their scene, which shows the murder of Bruce Wayne's parents, is one of the most pivotal moments in Batman's origin." Interestingly, it was also the first time Morgan and Cohan met each other in real life. In an interview via CBR, Morgan recalled that they filmed the scene in Chicago on an extremely cold night. "I remember peppering Lauren Cohan with all sorts of questions because she had just started The Walking Dead the year before. We were also both on Supernatural. I had done Supernatural on the first season. She came in the second season. We never got to work together. We met in Chicago, shooting the Thomas and Martha Wayne scene, which was super cool. Though short, their appearance left a lasting impression, not just on fans, but on the actors themselves. And they still look back fondly on their time as Batman's parents in the DCU." Releasing Superman simultaneously in the USA and China on July 11, 2025, reflects Warner Bros. And DC Studios' confidence in the film's universal appeal. China, one of the world's largest film markets, has shown significant enthusiasm for superhero films, with past DC entries like Aquaman grossing over $290 million in 2018. Via Forbes, James Gunn has set the stage for a global celebration of The Man of Steel, announcing that Superman will hit theaters in both the USA and China on July 11, 2025. This synchronized release marks a bold move for the DC Universe's first film, aiming to unite fans worldwide in experiencing Clark Kent's latest adventure. Alongside this news, Gunn and the cast shared an international teaser poster tailored for Chinese audiences, amplifying the excitement for David Corenswet's debut as the iconic superhero. As anticipation builds for this reboot, this dual-release strategy and the